Positive coronavirus tests in Bexar County reached a rate of 10%. If the numbers don't go back down, some changes could be coming. Eyewitness News reporter Erica Zucco has more on what it means and what it doesn't.
Judge Wolff says that this 10% positivity mark is, quote, a danger point, but it doesn't trigger any immediate changes. Bexar County reported 709 new cases yesterday, more than 500 people hospitalized, some of those from El Paso. Bexar County is still at a moderate risk level, though there is a 10% positivity rate, but there are other factors considered too. So let's talk about what that 10% positivity level means. When you see the big increases in coronavirus cases, maybe you think we're getting close to Thanksgiving, more people are getting tested. The judge says, yes, we have seen a massive increase in people getting tested, but 10% of those are positive tests, so the overall rate is still rising. As for schools, they're still in the yellow moderate zone, according to Metro Health. Initial guidance said that means they should limit the number of students in a room and keep precautions high, but it doesn't trigger full virtual instruction. You'll hear from your individual district if there are any changes. If the positivity rate stays at 10% for 2 weeks, Judge Wolff says Bexar County could close smaller bars that don't offer food. Still, a lot of health experts say one of the major drivers of increased coronavirus cases is people gathering in large groups inside of their homes. Right now, Metro Health is recommending that you spend no time indoors with people outside of your household. Reporting downtown, Erica Zucco, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.